Well, aloha and welcome to another episode of Omens, where we keep track of the apocalypse that's inevitably right around the corner on the way. The world tells us how close it is. You don't need to follow any cult leaders or, any humans or people. You just got to listen to Mother Nature and, keep your ear to the ground. See how far away things are on the horizon. So that's what we're going to do today. I've got a lot of different interesting articles, different things that are happening. Aside from extreme weather, the world across that's been happening, we might talk about one or two extreme weather events. What's up, everybody in the Good Vibe Tribe? And Pakistan's into good. I will think about doing Tron, okay? There's so many people want me to do so many different movies. Possibly. I've been watching the new Black Mirror episodes. Like I said in the chat earlier, I watched the first 2 episodes. I was going to go to sleep. That was my plan. I'll watch an episode of Black Mirror and I'll go to bed. I'm tired. I feel good. You think I'll pass out after that? Nah. Nope. Not after that. Not after that one. The second one I watched had some strong Mandela effect. It was basically telling you what the Mandela effect was. And I could not sleep. My brain was like, okay, we're up now. Let's think about the deep realities and the meaning of life and existence. And man, I just stayed up thinking. I was pacing around my place, and I think that's another omen too. A lot of people can't sleep these days. Your body's tired, because the surface is low on energy, but the mind is just amplified. It's just energetic. It's awake and processing things. There's so many things to think about. There's so many new revelations that are coming to light and new theories, fringe theories, not French, but fringe theories. All right. Anyways, let's check out some of these articles and see what's been going on around the world. Shall we? Abortion becomes more common in some U.S. states that outlawed it. Now, this is a huge omen because we're going to talk about the declining birth rates. All right. So just like how the movies are prophetic in nature, pretty much every single one of them, if you're paying attention, they're sharing with you things that have happened long ago, usually things that we've forgotten about that we call fantasy. But they're also sharing with you prophecy because these things are cyclical and they return and they'll happen again. Abortion becomes more common in some U.S. states that outlawed it. I promise you, okay? I see the day coming. Well, it makes sense. If fertility rates continue to drop, and we hit that crescendo, we hit that point of no return where all of a sudden all of your governments are starting to get really worried about not having a population to control any longer, I guarantee you they're going to outlaw abortion. I promise you. They're going to make it so that it's illegal. I don't know what guise that's going to be under. I don't know how the story is going to come out. I don't know if it's going to have something to do with religion or whatever, but they're going to make it illegal to have abortions. I'm not getting on the for or against, train or any of that junk. I'm just saying, that's what I see. It makes sense that if the populations keep dwindling, the governments of the world are going to take drastic measures as far as the people would see it as drastic. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into, abortion because people will get very much in their feelings. All right, next up, extended heat wave in India, Pakistan, to test survivability limits with temperatures reaching Death Valley levels. Now, this is interesting to me. Pakistan's going through a heat wave right now, right? I've got something else about Pakistan too, I want to say, but in a second. They're going through this crazy heat wave right now, and then I read this entire article way down here. I've highlighted this portion of it, and it says here, extreme heat has killed tens of thousands of people in India and Pakistan in recent decades, and climate experts have warned that by 2050, India will be among the first places where temperatures will cross survivability limits. What does that mean? That means it's getting so hot I believe it's getting hot for a few different reasons, but it's getting so hot that pretty soon people won't be able to go out in the daytime. they'll be stuck indoors because it's going to be so hot that you can't survive going out for too long during the daytime. Now, this has also been shown to us in multiple movies, many different movies, where people couldn't go into the daytime light because the sunlight was that hot. It started to burn people, which is what we've been talking about here on my channel when we talk about the color spectrum shift that the luminaries are going through and how that makes the sunlight or daytime get hotter and hotter as it becomes more and more focused. Also speeding up in its circuit in the heavens, giving us less time in every single day, shortening our years, shortening our days, making it seem like we're having more birthdays, making it seem like older people are so much younger, and then they take the credit for it because of modern medicine and stuff, when in reality, you're just having shorter and shorter years. They're just, you're having more and more years than you used to, quicker and quicker, so it seems like you're getting, you're having more birthdays or whatever. Anyways, the world's getting a lot hotter, okay? Now, I believe that has to do with cosmology and how our world is actually shaped, and mostly the firmament, the dome that's above us. I believe that that's responsible for the focal point above us and all of the luminaries. But yeah, it's getting extremely hot. Now, we talked about this one, but I wanted to bring it back to your attention because I feel this is extremely important, because the world is covered in about 75% water, the oceans, right? Which is actually one ocean, which is actually the flood, like the worldwide flood that happened according to, every ancient record of every country in the world, with the exception of Japan. Neurotoxins released by algal blooms off of the California coast is making sea lions aggressive. Here's why climate change is to be blamed. Now, they're going to just basically talk about how when the waters warm up, it makes perfect conditions for, things like phytoplankton and cyanobacteria, and these things cause red tide, and these things release toxic things like neurotoxins. Neurotoxin just means it poisons your brain. It's toxic stuff that goes into your brain. You inhale it and it goes straight to your brain and alters how you think, or at the very least, alters how sea lions think, okay? But I promise you, it's not going to just stop at sea lions, all right? It's neurotoxins affect anything with a brain. It's just a neurotoxin. If this is causing the sea lions and other marine animals to become aggressive, angry, quick to bite, kind of loopy, it's causing them mental problems, right? And one of the side effects of those mental problems is that they become aggressive. They become violent. They start attacking where they never used to attack before. There are movies out there, many different movies. One of my favorite ones is this one. It's called The Signal. There's two different movies called The Signal that are pretty popular. They came out within a few years of each other. This is not the one with the kids that get trapped in the desert and Lawrence Fishburne is like an alien or whatever. That's a good one too. But this one is all about a signal that goes off around the world. The Cell with John Cusack also, or Cell, I don't know what it's called, right? But same exact concept. There's this signal. There's something that happens to the entire population of humans across the world, with little pockets of people that are unaffected by it, and they all go nuts. They all start losing their minds. They become violent. They start attacking, and it's completely justified in their minds. Does this sound like something similar to what the sea lions are going through right now? I'd say yes. And I'd say the number one culprit is the ocean and the neurotoxins that are being released by the bacteria that's growing, turning our oceans green and also red, which we'll talk about here in a bit as well. Now, this next one comes from earth.com, and they say that skyglow from light pollution causes more problems than we ever knew. And now, what they're going to talk about, and what they do talk about when they mention skyglow, or the sky looks a lot brighter than it used to be, and it's difficult to to go out at night and admire the beauty or whatever. I'm saying this: while it's true that we do build lights down here on the ground, and lamps and house lights and car lights and all this stuff, they're trying to say all that light is polluting the atmosphere because look how bright the sky's getting at nighttime. I offer this: what if the sky is getting brighter at nighttime? What if the luminaries are actually getting brighter up there in the heavens, and that sky glow doesn't come mostly from below, while it can? I'd say mostly it comes from above, where the luminaries are. The moon's getting brighter. The sun is getting brighter. The stars are getting brighter. Comets are getting brighter. Everything up there that is a light, including UFOs, all right? All those... Man, I don't even want to get onto UFOs right now. Pretty much I'd say 90%, at least 90% of every single, oh my God, look at this craft. Look at its propulsion system. Look how it banks. Look how it turns. Oh my God, it just disappeared. They're describing plasma. And plasma takes all these different forms. As a matter of fact, one of the new classifications for plasma is a jellyfish. I mean, not plasma, for a UFO. Is a jellyfish UFO. It's literally sprites and other transient luminous events that are electromagnetic in nature. It's plasma in our atmosphere. Where does that come from? All the gases that are being released from the Earth because the Earth is about to give birth. All right. We're about to go through the apocalypse. But anyways, the sky's getting a lot brighter. Japan sees a record drop in its population. For the 14th year running, Japan's population has slumped to a record low. The non-foreign population dropped by nearly 900,000 people, an unprecedented fall. So, this is just an example. This is happening to every single country, for the most part, across the world. Yours included. Wherever you are, I'm sure this is happening to your country. The United States doesn't have a procreation level that can sustain its population. They're going to outlaw abortion. I promise you. It's going to happen. They're going to start worrying about not having enough people to control and slaves. And maybe that's why they're building all these human robots, which we're going to talk about here in a minute as well, to replace your asses. All right, next up. China's Unitree is to livestream the world's first robot boxing match. G1 humanoids are to take part. And here you can actually see a clip where this robot boxer is sparring with the human. Okay? Like I said, all the fiction books, all the fantasy books and movies and all that, TV shows and all that stuff, they're just showing you things that you're unaware of, truths that you're unaware of, truths that you have forgotten, history that has been hidden, a future that you can't see because you haven't learned about the true past. People don't even know where they are in the present. They're walking around blind, reaching out, trying to feel for the walls, holding on to a rope that's been given to them by their masters. You know what I mean? But this is basically Rock'em Sock'em Robots. They also made a movie about this too, and it was supposed to be fiction. Rock'em Sock'em Robots. So the robots are coming to life. Now, here's another thing to consider. They always offer these new inventions as a form of entertainment. Oh, it can flip pancakes. Oh, it can chop up a tomato. It can make dinner for you super fast. It can do the dishes. Geez, you'll never have any responsibilities ever again. And now it can entertain you by fighting other robots. We promise they're not learning as they're fighting each other. Expert fighters. These robots can learn ninjutsu and stuff, just like Neo from the Matrix. They just upload all these different fighting styles and stuff. And the day is going to come when they turn on you. Okay? The robots are going to turn against the humans. I promise you this, okay? I don't have to prove it or anything. I just know. I just know they're going to, all right? And it's amazing to me that the world's population is in such a slumber that nobody's doing a damn thing about it. It's just, I mean, people might talk about it, like I'm talking about it right now, but no one's going to do anything. You know why? You can't. None of you can do a damn thing about it. This is fated. This happens all the time. This happened the last cycle we went through, okay? Technology always rises up and gets to the point where mankind can do anything it thinks of, anything it wills to do, and then mankind fails the test. It's a spiritual test. Mankind has proven by their actions over and over that they don't deserve that kind of power, and so it's taken away, it's stripped away, and the apocalypse inevitably comes. Autism rates in children continue to rise, according to a study by the CDC. So, how many kids are having autism these days? When I was younger, it was a rare thing. And I'm sure it was even more rare, going back 100 years ago or whatnot. But now it's 1 out of every 31 children age 8 and younger. 1 in 31 kids. So not only is the population dwindling, not only is the fertility rates just bottoming out the world across, the leftovers, those that do make it and those that do have children, 1 out of every 31 of those kids, and I guarantee you this number is just going to keep rising, have mental problems, right? I don't want to talk too much about the subject because, it's personal to a lot of people out there, and, I don't want to make people feel sad and stuff because it has to do with people's families and stuff, but I do have a lot of, theories about it, but, I got a lot of theories about so many different subjects that I choose not to talk about on the internet, for so many different reasons. Mostly it's because the year is 1984. As of today's April 15th, 1984. I don't know if you guys knew that. So make sure you set your clocks, okay? All right, now let's check out this article. Earth.com says, Earth was once a green marble millions of years ago. Imagine. Before its oceans turned blue. Now, this woman that wrote this, she's writing this as if the oceans are now blue. Right? It doesn't sound like this article was written, 2 days ago. Earth was once a green marble before its oceans turned blue. Listen, this is good. This is good that people should point this out. They're talking about long ago, before the last oxidation event, the world's oceans were green. And I agree with that because we're seeing it now, okay? The world's oceans are green, which is why you'll see so many different news articles that say things like this. Blue is so last year. And they have like a green Earth or Earth with like green ocean and stuff. I'm kind of in the way. You can't really see that. But there's many different articles, many different news stories that talk about how the world's oceans are turning green, right? Which I mentioned at the beginning. It's an extremely important omen for us to pay attention to. Let me just double check, make sure that everything's good in the chat. Oh yeah, there is. All right, sweet, cool. Good to see everybody. 243 people watching. High five to everybody. Let me get back to the articles here. So yeah, there's this woman's talking about long ago, the ocean used to be green. Oh my God. Not even realizing, it seems, that she's living through this. It's returning to this right now. The oceans are turning green now. They're going to release all those neurotoxins. They're going to release all the poisons and nasties. People are going to start shutting down all the beaches. I'm sure every single one of you in the chat, most of you, had to have heard something personally, locally, if you live near the ocean or a large lake, about them shutting down local beaches in your area due to harmful algal blooms or algae or bacteria or phytoplankton or cyanobacteria or whatever it may be. They're starting to shut down all the beaches. Why? Because they're poison. And they're gonna make people crazy. All that stuff's gonna get into the air. It doesn't matter if you live next to the beach or not. It can just go right up into the air, be carried on the wind, and then land in Las Vegas or something. And people will go nuts. I promise. I mean, more nuts than they already are. Come on. Let's just acknowledge people are already crazy. They're all mad. They're all insane. Every one of them. They're all evil. They're all corrupt. They're all basic. I see why people do the whole everyone's an NPC thing. I get it. I do. Trust me. But the good news is, let's focus on the good news, okay? We should always acknowledge the bad around us, but we shouldn't dwell on the bad around us because then we'll get stuck in the muck and the swamp of sadness, right? There's good news. All the good news is these are all omens. The omen is, the message is, change is on the way. That's why I love to talk about this. This article says half the universe's hydrogen gas, long unaccounted for, has been found. Guess what the article says it is? Plasma. They don't really call it plasma. They just call it ionized hydrogen. But that's plasma. And it's red spectrum, usually, when it's ionized hydrogen. And that's out there beyond far beyond in space or whatever. It's beyond the firmament, right? But that's where the universe's hydrogen is. Anyways, that reminds me of light too. I'm not sure if I want to talk about light right now, but that could be an entire video, right? Just asking the question, what is light? What is it? Screw it. I'm just going to talk about it. I asked ChatGPT, hey, what is light? And ChatGPT says, oh, well, it's a damn, how did it explain it? It's a particle, but it's not a particle. It's a wave and it's a particle at the same time. And I'm like, does it have any mass? And it's like, no. Amazingly enough, it has no mass. I'm like, then it's nothing. Then there is no such thing. Okay, it doesn't exist. If it's got no mass, it's just make believe. It's a mind thing. All right, it's got no mass. It doesn't exist. It's nothing. It's not there. And so I was talking with ChatGPT, and I figured out while I was talking with it that light is not its own separate thing. It's just movement of things that are already existing, or things that already exist. It's radiation, or things that already exist radiating or moving, essentially, and emitting radiation. It's just moving. It's like if you think of everything in existence as a spider web, right? Light would be when something touches the spider web and it vibrates, or the vibration of a piano key. The vibration itself is not separate. It's not something different. Just like light is not something different. It's already there. It's just not activated. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I should just save that for another video. Anyways, Russian hairdresser was jailed. This woman. Oh, I can't see her. My big head's in the way. There she is. Look at her. She's like, you know. All right, this hairdresser in Russia was jailed. She was put in jail because a neighbor claimed that she was spreading fake news. Fake news. Let me quote that. All right. Now, let's acknowledge something. Our vocabulary is very quickly dying. When I say our vocabulary, I mean humanity's, not my own. I have a decent vocabulary. But most people in the world, from what I've heard, especially, I listen to YouTubers and stuff. Like I listen to how people speak. And I try not to swim in that pool myself, because everybody's peeing in that pool. It's the kiddie pool of linguistics. But anyways, what's my point here? Oh, fake news, right? So fake news. It's called lying. Okay, that's all it is. It's not fake news. It's lies. That's all it is. This. Remember, I said we live in 1984. Let me back up for those of you who don't know. George Orwell is an author a while back. He wrote a book that was prophetic at the time. It seemed futuristic. It seemed like science fiction. It's called 1984. And it's about this totalitarian government in the future, very dystopian society where it's sort of a one-world government. And they have completely controlled the Earth's population, all of their subjects. They have completely messed with their minds. They have them under a state of constant hypnosis, basically, where they just believe whatever they're told, even if they see for themselves that what they're told is a blatant lie, right? As a part of this world of 1984, Orwell created for those people a new language, and he called it Newspeak, right? Newspeak, or a new speech, a new way of speaking, which is the de-evolution, or the de-evolving, I guess I could say, of our vocabulary. That words, we made certain acquiesces. We acquiesced over time. We made certain allowances for people speaking in the wrong manner, using words in different ways that they were not intended to. And it kept on going, and it kept on going, and kept on going until words meant totally different things. And some words were lost completely, and new words that don't even make any sense were born. Right? And usually the words got, sometimes a lot longer and a lot longer. Sometimes in our case, they're shortening to like basically emojis as we return to hieroglyphics. Anyways, I just want to point out, okay, fake news is just lying. That's all. Now, here's the other thing. Our world has reverse energy right now. right? It's an evil world. Everything is the opposite of what it should be from my perspective. This is my path that I share with you. My perspective, which is really my energy. Okay, that's where my perspective comes from. It's a blending of my physical brain, my actual thoughts, my spirit memory and stuff, but my own energy, which is just simply described as good, loving, giving. I don't know what other words to use. Okay, but it's a contributing energy. It's a giving energy. It's a life energy, as opposed to the opposite of those things. Okay. My soul recognizes certain truths. There needs to be no proof other than that, other than the vibe that I get, right? And how it affects my vibe, which is a good vibe, right? Anyways, spreading of fake news. It's just lies, right? However, in this world, the danger here and the omen is that fake news is going to, like, who defines these things? It's your governments. Ultimately, I mean, it's all of you out there, and as a whole, the world's population is corrupt and evil, and therefore, what I'm saying is they're going to start twisting words around to suit their own evil spirits. Okay, so good will mean evil will mean good. Fake news, which is lies, will be used against people who are actually telling the truth, or looking into the truth, or sharing their opinions, or whatever it may be. Freedom is laughable. And here I live in the United States, and they have called this place forever the land of the free, the home of the brave. You know, it's supposed to be a land of freedom and the American dream and all that stuff. Listen, if you're one of those people out there that lives in another country and you are under this delusion that, you know, it's your dream to come to America because it's the land of the free. I mean, people used to think this way. I don't know how many people still do, but if you happen to catch this live stream, I'm telling you as an insider, okay, it's not the land of the free. There are no brave people here at all. Okay. It's the opposite of everything that you have ever heard as far as these myths about the United States goes. Now, I also want to be fair and say, you know, that applies to all of your countries as well. Okay, I don't live there, but I'm paying attention. They're all the same. They're owned by the same companies and corporations, which are ran by a select handful of people at the extreme top of the food chain, whose names you don't know, who you never see, and you know, they probably don't even live on the surface. But anyways, yeah, just be careful, because good has become evil. Evil has become good. The world is completely upside down. And like I said, the good news is it's an omen of change. Change is on the way. Because once it gets to its extreme, it has no choice but to turn back the other way. The pendulum, once it crescendos, it has to swing back the other way. Things have to change. And that's good. I can't wait. I can't wait to see all these people lose their minds like chickens with their heads cut off, panicking, you know, freaking out, crying out to their evil gods that they all worship, and, you know, like, just in a state of constant terror, because they deserve it, in my opinion. So sorry. I know people don't like to hear stuff like that, but I can't wait. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I have righteous energy on the inside, and I can't do anything about it personally. I don't have superpowers or anything yet. Not yet. All right, let's continue on. Watch a ghost-like humanoid robot flex 1,000 muscles in a new, chilling video. They call this protoclone. Unlike other humanoid robots, protoclone mimics the human skeletal, muscular, vascular, and nervous systems with synthetic components. What does this remind you of? Speaking of truth in movies. Hold on, let me jump in the chat, see if anybody can guess what I'm thinking. What does that particular robot remind you guys of? I'm going to give a shout out. Hold on. Whoever gets it first, you got to, what I'm thinking, you got to match what I'm thinking. Hold on, let me show you the robot again. Where'd it go? There it is. Boom. You see that? See that robot? This is a robot. They're trying to put real skin on it. They're trying to put real muscles on it. They're going to give it feelings and stuff. And pretty soon it's going to be your replacement. Okay? You're going to be replaced by these lovely, wonderful models of robots that can flip pancakes and do backflips. And, you know, you could bet on them in Vegas to punch each other out. All right, let's see. Let me see if anybody said, nope, I'm not thinking of HAL. I'm not thinking of iRobot. Westworld, Jeeps was the first one I saw that was guessing what I was thinking. That looks exactly like the Westworld robots. I don't know how many people watch that. It's an amazing show. But before the robots turn into humans, they look like this. They are literally proto-clones or proto-robots, right? The first ones. This is what they look like. They dip them in this white liquid. And anyways, this is a Westworld robot, all right? However, you're all correct. Everyone that said all those other answers, you guys are all correct because all those movies are pointing, they're all on the same, they all go to the same path, okay? iRobot, Westworld, all these things. They all go to the same path. And it's not fiction. It's not lies. It's not made up. That's why you like it. That's why you like it so much. This article says the moon is slowly drifting away from the Earth, and it's beginning to impact us, says Harry Fletcher, the cartoon guy. Oh, man, what a weird world. Hey, here's my little, there we go, put my jelly up. The moon is slowly drifting away from the Earth, and it's beginning to impact us. Man, there's so many things. Humanity has been impacted. I've just listed all kinds of ways, okay? But the moon is slowly drifting away from us, from the Earth. It's getting smaller and smaller because it's becoming the thing that creates that luminary in the sky. The light is getting more and more focused or narrower, okay? When that happens, the point of focus that you see up there and the projection called the moon, they're going to get smaller and smaller, but they're going to get brighter and brighter. So some people interpret that getting brighter and brighter as, oh, it must be getting closer because it's getting brighter. It causes confusion, right? In the logical thinking of the mind, because we have to come to terms with what we've been taught in the school system as fish swimming around in the schools. But the reality is that the light that causes that projection, which is the moon, and the focal point, or the point of focus, which is called the sun, there's light behind it that's causing it, right? That would be like watching a movie, going to the movie theater, and not realizing that there's light being projected onto the screen, right? That screen is the image on the screen is created by the light that is shining from somewhere else, which is a source. There is a source up there in the heavens. That's what I'm saying, a light source, okay? And it passes through the firmament. I don't want to get too deep. I'm already on a tangent. My point is, the moon is not a rock in space floating around, and it's floating away from us. And oh no, it's a light. It's a luminary in the sky, and it's shrinking, and it has been shrinking. Some of you older people can probably remember when the moon used to look bigger. I can. And the sun as well. Okay, the sun's a little more difficult, because not everybody stares at the sun or whatever, but I have looked at it, and I know the sun is smaller, but brighter. The moon is smaller, but brighter, right? Anyways, so are all the luminaries. So this is how they're spinning this information. They're saying that the moon is slowly drifting away from our world or whatever, which you should be celebrating if that's true. If there's really a big fat rock up there that's just, could crush our whole world, then you should be happy and thankful. Oh no, we need the moon. Oh, it causes the tides. We need the tides. No, it doesn't. The earth causes the tides. All right. The earth causes everything that happens in the earth. All right, next up. China issues a full-scale alert. U.S. company unleashes giant spinning cannon to launch hundreds of pancake-like microsatellites into space. I thought This was super interesting. Spin Launch, a California-based startup, is poised to revolutionize the satellite industry by launching hundreds of pancake-like microsatellites into low Earth orbit, or LEO, into the lion's mouth, using a gigantic centrifugal cannon, promising a cost-effective, environmentally friendly alternative to traditional rocket launches. And there's a little AI version of the pancake-looking satellites. Nowhere in this entire article do they use the word disk or flying saucer, which blew my mind. Right? These are the new mini satellites. They keep using things like they're pancake-shaped or whatever. Everything repeats itself. History's on repeat, okay? Your DNA is on repeat. Time is on repeat. The earth is on repeat. It's all cyclical. There's different variations out there in the fractal verse and the multiverse, if you want to call it that. All these alternate earths out there with little tiny butterfly effect changes and, causing different earths and stuff. It gets deep, man. But I thought this was interesting. Check this out. I'll show you the thing they're using, this invention. Where is it? Do I have a picture? There it is. So you see that? So they spin the heck out of something. This is basically like David and Goliath. You know how David had the sling and then he flipped that rock at Goliath's head? This is a huge mechanical version of David's sling. And they're just going to sling stuff right up there into the space that is between the surface and the dome. Right. Now, let me explain myself. I know a lot of people that follow my channel, some at least, have, are constantly made their opinions known that space is fake, there's no such thing as space, etc. That's fine. I respect that you have that belief system. My perspective is that when they talk about space, that there is a place up there in the sky where there is an increased amount of buoyancy, and it's right in the middle. And that is space. It's not outside of the dome by any means, but it is way up high. After you go about a mile, 70 miles, I think, up is the Kármán line. You go about 70 miles up, and buoyancy, the higher up you go, starts to increase. Just like if you blow up a balloon, right? As big as you can get, all the pressure, aka the gravity, if we want to, equate the two, we'll say, all the pressure is going to be on the surface of the balloon, all the way around its inside edges. So if you're a little person inside of the balloon, and let's say just forget about the conditions of the world you live in for a moment, okay? Let's say that the only thing in reality that exists is this balloon that I'm making up, okay? The little people that live in that balloon would stick to the surface of the balloon. Okay, whether it be on the bottom of it or on the top of it or whatever, right? But if the top of it is way too cold to go up there, you're not going to have a lot of people walking around up there. Same with the sides or whatnot. But on the bottom, you have that same pressure and there's less density. There's less buoyancy, right? All the buoyancy is in the middle because all the pressure is on the outside. There's no pressure in the middle. So when you go up high enough, or fling something up high enough, then it logically would float. That's how I see it. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm just sharing with you how I see it. You know what I mean? It's called being a philosopher. I don't know at what point in time philosophers started debating and going to philosophical war with one another. That's not my school of thought. I'm not a fish swimming around in that school. But anyways, I think this is interesting and cool. And it also has a lot of other implications, which means they could just sling weapons over to other countries and stuff and bombs and God knows what, right? Anyways, I got all kinds of different theories about that too, including Skylink and, bombs that Skylink's probably carrying around and stuff. All right, let's move on. Russia's birth rate. So we already talked about Japan. Like I said, I like to just pull little examples. Russia also has a birth rate problem. Theirs has plunged to a 200-year low. Nobody's having babies in Russia. And if you are, it's like winning the lottery in many different countries. Remember the movie, what was that show? The Handmaid's Tale, right? Prophetic, man. That is our world. Our world is becoming the Handmaid's Tale. And it doesn't take a lot to change. They want you to think, oh, change takes millions of years. Oh no, dude, the world has changed already. In the past 5 years, in the past 10 years, we're a completely different world. Just like you're a completely different person physically every 7 years because your cells regenerate every 7 years. The world is completely different. Our entire way of thinking, our modes of thought, especially things like our concepts of so many different things, have shifted so extreme that the world is a completely different place these days. I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on like Marty McFly holding on to the back of that truck because he's late for school. I'm hanging on. But damn, how many other people can see it? Can you see how quickly everything has changed and that the world's a totally different place? That this is an alien planet compared to, I don't know, yesteryear, however, for many of you that's a different decade. Okay, there's different decades, and the older people, man, I'm quite certain that these words I'm sharing with you will resonate stronger with you the older you are, because I imagine the changes are much more drastic, right? It's all apocalyptic. It's all an omen, man. Russia's attempts to boost its flagging birth rate through policies promoting traditional values, tighter abortion restrictions, oh snap, and officials' encouragement of larger families appear to be falling short as the number of births has fallen to its lowest level in centuries. Vladimir Putin, even remember we did that article where he was encouraging people to go procreate on their 10-minute work breaks or whatever. Anyway, what a world, man. These are exciting times. They're trying times. Man, Boyz II Men just went right through my head. They're trying times, okay? Trying to get the best of me. Anyways, they're trying times, okay? We're going through the crucible. You're being tested. Some of you, okay, the people that resonate and vibe with, my vibe. Or we vibe with each other, really. You're being tried. It's a test, man. It's hard, but it makes the reward so much sweeter. You ever see that movie Vanilla Sky? My favorite line from that movie is the guy's best friend, Tom Cruise's best friend. What was that dude's name? I forgot. But anyways, he says the sweet just isn't as sweet. The sweet just isn't as sweet without the sour. So the world is so sour right now. I mean, it's physically sour. Like if you look at the acidity levels in the water supply and stuff, like it's actually sour. But that means that the sweetness is on the way. I think that's great. I can't wait. I look forward to it. It'll be our time. Just like in Goonies, man, when they're down in the bottom of the wishing well. God dang, I can't stop thinking about movies today. He says, down here, it's our time. It's our time down here. Anyways, let's continue on. You might think of shrimp. This is from the Smithsonian. Okay? The Smithsonian. You might think of shrimp as bugs of the sea. Right? You might think of shrimp as bugs of the sea. But remarkable discovery shows the opposite. Bugs are actually shrimp of the land. Yes. I love this. I love that they're admitting it. Yeah, look at that nasty thing, man. You want to eat that? Go ahead. That shit was in Neo's stomach. Remember when they bugged him? Excuse my language. But remember that? When they bugged Neo? And he's like, that's real? Ah! And he's all freaking out because he had some nasty shrimp bug in his stomach. Man. It's a good idea to cleanse your body. Not just because, it's good to rid yourself of all these tiny little parasites or whatever, and you want to just be healthier or whatever. Gigantism is going to return to this world. And I'll bet you that means parasites as well. Worms and nasty stuff that already live inside people's bodies start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but you don't. Why? Because you've already gone through puberty. You've already reached your crescendo as far as growing and stuff goes. But all those tiny little nasties inside of you, they'll just keep on procreating. They get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I highly recommend, for that reason alone, unless you want your worst nightmares to come true, cleanse yourself. Shrimp look an awful lot like bugs, says this article. The exoskeletons, joined legs, and compound eyes of both groups of living things give them more than a passing resemblance to each other. Because they're bugs. I don't know what this article is. I have not read this article. I just like the title of it. But damn, he's trying to say that there's not two different anything. Okay, all that stuff in the ocean is bugs. All that seafood and all that shellfish, fish don't have shells. That's called a lie. That's false news, fake news, or whatever, right? It's bugs. Okay? Now, what's the omen here? It's going to happen again. Gigantism will return to this world. The bugs are going to be one of the first creatures that you see getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that includes all the ocean bugs. You think they're big now? You just wait until the giant freaking coconut crabs start walking onto the land and scooping up, people and destroying stuff and coming after you to eat you. They will. All the things that you once thought were delicacies and that you put in your mouth and you enjoyed eating because they're so tiny, one day the tables will be turned. The dinner table will be turned. You like that? The dinner table will be turned and they're going to eat you. You're going to be on the menu. Yeah. Shrimp as bugs became a viral meme for underscoring the resemblance. It's not an underscore. It's a fact. They are arthropods. They're bugs. Arthropods, okay? All these people get all technical. I'm very passionate about this, okay? My soul, remember how I said my soul knows certain things? My soul knows not to eat bugs. It just knows this. I got nothing else. I guess it's from my soul. My soul is telling you. Please. But some people are bug eaters. And guess what? Some people, you are what you eat. And there's been a lot of movies that indicate that some people might turn into bugs one day. I believe in something called therianthropy, right? I'm way off topic now, but whatever. Therianthropy is whenever people change into other creatures, specifically animals. However, I believe that people can mutate quickly, especially during the apocalypse, right? Especially whenever you change the conditions in this world and you introduce a whole bunch of radioactivity and stuff. Yes, people can and will and do mutate, right? It's not on the news all the time, but you're seeing it more and more now than you ever have. I am. And it's going to happen. And depending on what kind of DNA you have in your body, when all this plasma comes into the earth and ambiently just hovers all around your body, and especially if it acts anything like those pods in the movie The Fly with Jeff Goldblum trying to fix the DNA or make sense of all these different strands of DNA, man, some of you guys are going to turn into monkeys. Some of you pig people. Some of you dog people. Some of you bug people. I promise it's going to happen. I got a strong feeling about it. Now, this large body of water, right? This is called the Mediterranean. Let me explain something. Is it the Mediterranean? Yeah, Mediterranean. Now, first let's learn words. Mediterranean. Medi means in the middle of, okay? Or middle place. It's where middle comes from. Terranean is from the word terra, which means land. So this is the ocean that's in the middle of these two giant land masses right here. That's why it's called Mediterranean. It's in the middle of the two lands, okay? This huge body of water, this article says, the largest flood in Earth's history burst through Gibraltar and Sicily and refilled the entire Mediterranean in just a few years. Speaking of false news or whatever they say, speaking of lies, the largest flood in Earth's history. They're saying that this happened a little over 5 million years ago when water from the already existing Atlantic Ocean found a way through the present-day Strait of Gibraltar, which, by the way, this is where they say the Pillars of Hercules are. This little tiny part of the land right here and this little tiny part of the land right here. All right? And they try to say, well, all these people on the eastern side of that thought that that was the westernmost point on Earth. That's what the Pillars of Hercules are. They're the westernmost extreme ends of the Earth. That's clearly not the extreme. That's not even the westernmost part of it. Look, you can go to Spain and you're boom, Portugal. You're in the westernmost part of it, or Western Africa or whatever, right? That's bullcrap. These are the Pillars of Hercules. They're not at all. Pillars of Hercules are not just, tall rock formations. I've told people what they are a million times, and I'll tell you 1,000,001 because I feel it's important. If you would like to get to the Garden of Eden, and that you got that energy to unlock the door and you can get in. The Pillars of Hercules are two beams of light that shoot up out of two gigantic volcanoes that are right now in the Atlantic Ocean. And they act as these two outdoor columns or fences or boundary markers or whatever. And in between them is Hyperborea. I just got money. Oh, wow. Moi Freestyle Life. $2. Thank you so much. Dang, you guys are so kind. All right. Listen. The largest flood in Earth's history was the deluge. Period. Hands down. Okay? That's not a debate. You can disagree. I'm just talking to imaginary people in my mind because I know that the world's full of naysayers, all right? But just as a reminder to everyone, the world flooded. The world flooded over. The entire surface of the world was covered in water. Like, I just got back from the Great Sand Dunes, which I made a few shorts on my videos. I got the short videos, right? I took my son up to the Great Sand Dunes. High five, Moi Freestyle Life. That sand is ocean sand. What's it doing in Colorado? It's ocean beach sand. I grew up on the beach in Southern California. I know what beach sand looks like. That's beach sand. That's ocean sand. Anyways, this is the flood, okay? They're trying to say the largest flood in Earth's history, trying to make it sound like it's some local event because the oceans that were already there. No, the oceans all appeared all at one time, okay? Maybe not like instantly, but, over time, the water levels rose and rose and rose and rose. From below, the Earth has water down below, and from above. Whenever all of the ionized oxygen that fills up our sky for an entire age, an eon, an epoch, smashes into the ionized hydrogen that we also just talked about, that enters into this world whenever the firmament breaks open. They smash into each other, they create water. Boom. The world flooded. All this is going to be removed. This will be desert one day. Okay, all these places where the ocean is now, this will be a desert world. Your world will be exactly like you see how it is portrayed in fiction whenever they're trying to convince you it's some other planet way far away. No, that's your world on the horizon. Your world is going to have its oceans removed. The seas will be gone. And guess what's at the bottom? Sludge and muck and sand and debris and all that stuff. And whatever cool things that, have sunk down to the bottom, you could probably find. And people will go on treasure hunts. They will go looking for relics from a lost age, which is the modern world. Anyways, let's continue on. Let's see. Oh, I hate this. Check this out. This irritates me. So this video, I don't even know what's going on. It's a Pizza Hut. It's not even an ad. It's just a video about something that's irrelevant and unrelated to the actual... Anyways, pay no attention to that pop-up. All right. The face of humans' most influential ancestor. Beware when you're reading articles, when you're listening to the news. They say things like we, humans. They're speaking for everybody on Earth all time. Right? Beware of how they speak. These are spells that are being cast on you. The face of all humans. You, me, this face right here. Most influential ancestor. Lucy. A frickin' monkey. Gets a facelift. Like glimpsing a bridge into the distant past. They actually have a relevant picture. There we go. So, this is where your school systems, all of them across the world for the most part, okay? Your collegiate programs, Um, everyone that controls your way of life, essentially, says that this is you. This is where you come from. It's a monkey person. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth behind it, which is my own perspective on it and my own little theory. This is a human. But it turned from a human, like how I look, into that. Remember I was talking about therianthropy and how humans can basically change into animals and stuff? They have it backwards. They're trying to say, oh, the animals are slowly evolving into us because we're the best. Nah, man, you got it backwards. Anyways, they're trying to say this is Lucy. She's been given a facelift. You're all related to her, even though there's monkeys today, even though there's chimpanzees and apes and all that fun stuff coexisting with us on the world today. We have them locked away in prisons called zoos, right? This exists today. You can go see this at the zoo today, okay? And let's take a look at what it actually looks like, right? Why they think this. They found the skeleton of this ancient monkey woman named Lucy. The true face of Lucy, humanity's most famous ancestor. That's not my ancestor. My ancestors are good. I don't know whose ancestor that is, but it's not mine. I don't accept that. I know that. Okay? Lucy helped prove the theory that our early human relatives walked on two legs 3 million years ago. Yeah, what else are they going to be walking on? Okay? Listen, I want to say this. There's a difference between human and humanoid. Okay? There are like an elf. Let me use an elf as an example. An elf is a humanoid. Not a human. It's humanoid. It looks like a human. Okay? And that's an elf. And we know it's an elf. Elves are not humans. All right? Dwarves are not humans. They're humanoids. This is not a human. This monkey, this is what they found, allegedly. Okay? With a strong alleged. This is the little broken pieces, allegedly, of some monkey person. And they're trying to say, oh, that's our grandpa or our grandma or whatever. Not mine. You can have it if you want to. Fine. I'll let you. You can have it. You can bask in that. You're related to animals that are in zoos today. Good job. That's fine. But that's not me. I've been to the museums and I've taken a good hard look at Lucy, my ancestor, my ass. Okay? I don't believe that garbage. Now, let's have some fun. Let's talk about the Mandela effect. I'm going to jump into the chat here too. Hold on. Let me bust out the chat. What are the names of these ghosts? You guys know there's 4 main ghosts in the original Pac-Man series, right? Let me hear if you can name all 4 of the ghosts, or bonus points if you can just name the orange one and the red one. All right, let's start with the orange one and the red one. Let's start with the red one. What's the name of the red one? Somebody tell me. I'm in the chat right now. What do you think is the name of this one right here, the red one? Okay? Now we're going to talk about the Mandela effect because this crap is blowing my mind and it's irritating me, actually. Like, I love it, but it's just like having deja vu for me. I love the feeling of deja vu because it's like insight into like something more profound and deeper in reality. But it also kind of irritates me because it's like what's going on, you know? But that's the Mandela effect. But it's just the Mandela effect doesn't go away like deja vu. It's just always there. So what's the name of these ghosts? Which I guess they're also originally called monsters. That's weird too. What's the red one's name? Because in my mind, I remember a totally different name. Now, hold on. We got, some people are saying Inky. Tasty Waffles says Inky, Blinky, and Sue. Zobrer says Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. We also got Binky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Okay. We got Inky. Oh, hold on. We got red. It's just the red one. Some people don't know. It's fine. Inky, Blinky, and Pinky. Marcus, someone says. The red ghost is Blinky, someone says. Blinky, Pinky. Some people don't even know that they got names. That's fine. Stinky, someone says. Yeah, I don't ever remember Stinky. Yes, they do have names. All right, check this out. Let me just make my point here. My point is, this red one, I don't even care about the orange one. All right, but the red one, I know that the name of that one was Sue. It was a girl ghost. It was like the only girl ghost that I remember, and its name was Sue. And I always thought it was weird because they all had rhyming names, and all of a sudden it's like Sue. This one's name, allegedly, is Clyde. This one's name is Blinky, I believe. Okay, but it's not Sue. I remember it being Sue. I can see it in my mind. They come out and it says Sue. And I'm like, that's so weird. Why would you name a ghost Sue? Unless it's like, unless it represents a woman named Sue or whatever. But I clearly remember that. You know what I mean? And other people remember different things, all right? So this is just like the diving board jump into the Mandela effect. I'm going to just talk about a couple of my personal favorite ones. All right, I'm not going to talk about the questionable ones, and there's all kinds of people polluting the whole Mandela effect pool with garbage. I'm talking about real strong, good Mandela effects, okay? This one right here, this one upsets me, okay? This is the Fruit of the Loom logo, is it not? Is it not the Fruit of the Loom logo with a cornucopia and the fruit spilling out of it? Yes, okay, that's the answer. In here, in my spirit memory, okay, in whatever makes me me besides from just the brain, I know that is in some reality, okay, that I vibe with, that's the freaking logo. But this is now the logo. There is no cornucopia, neither has there ever been. This should be worldwide news. I don't care if it's stupid. I don't care if it's just a tiny little picture and so what, and it's not that big of a deal. Fudge that. Reality is being messed with. Like, I know this for a fact. 1,000,000,000%. As much as I know my own name and things I should know. Let's look at another one. These are just my own ones. Oh, hold on. That's the next topic. Let me scooch that one over. Oh, let me see another Mandela effect. Yeah. Okay. I grew up reading, this is the one that got me. This is the Mandela effect that pulled me right on in and changed everything. Look at the author's name. Now, please keep this in mind. Let me give you a backstory on little JayDreamerZ as a child. I've always been enamored with words. I've always been a wordsmith. I've written poems and lyrics, and I was really interesting and excelled in English, later in my later years, language arts in my earlier years. I loved those topics. I thought words were the best. Math, I hate it. I didn't like math. I hate it. I've always hated math. But words, I love. Pictures, I love, because pictures are words. That's why I like them so much. And so I learned I before E except after C. And I know 100%, just as much as I know there's a cornucopia, just as much as I know my name. I know that I had asked someone to clarify how to pronounce this author's frickin' name because there was an E and an I, and I couldn't remember because I was still learning at the time. If it's I before E, and how do I pronounce this? Is it Stein, like Frankenstein, or is it Steen? Those were the only two options. I, little JayDreamerZ, had a decent intellect as a young child, those who are old enough to read books like this, okay? I'm not trying to brag or toot my own horn. I'm just saying that's just a matter of fact, okay? I was a bit more intelligent than your average child. I was in special programs and stuff for gifted children and all that stuff. I was not an idiot. I knew, and I'm not saying you're an idiot if you don't know how to pronounce the word stain or read the word stain. However, I'm saying your intellect is lacking. But anyways, my point here is, it's stain. I never would have had a question. I never would have had a conversation with an adult, with a teacher, with anybody. It never would have perplexed me. It never would have bothered me had that been the author's name when I was a child. Period. Hands down. That's it. It's the end of the story. It was not that for me. Okay? For you, maybe. Maybe you didn't have all those memories and stuff. But 1,000,000,000% something is wrong. Something is different. Not wrong. Okay? I think it's right, actually. I like it. I like that this is happening. I'm glad that it's happening. I'm glad reality's fracturing and breaking. Good. I hope it happens more. I can't wait, because it all leads to one thing, and that's the apocalypse. And then that leads to the golden age. Okay, it's good news. But anyway, Berenstain, that's insane. That's just mind-blowing. This should be on the news. In my reality, that would be on the news. I'd be on the news like, head for the hills, everyone. The author's name has now changed on every book. Reality has been physically altered. I don't care how minuscule you think it is or how much it doesn't matter. You know what the butterfly effect is? This is the butterfly effect, okay? Anyways, it's definitely Berenstain. Not Berenstain. That's insane. That's just crazy. How about this one? You guys know who this is? You guys remember this cartoon? Who is this? It's Shaggy, right? It's Shaggy who goes zoinks or whatever, right? What does his neck look like? Does he have any kind of feature at all aside from just a straight neck? Do you guys remember? Hold on, let me jump in the chat. I want to actually ask. I want to see what you guys think. Hold on. All right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's Star Traveler, Sherry. You guys all, everyone knows it's Shaggy, right? And Zobrer is the first one I saw who said it's his Adam's apple. Everyone knows this. Everyone that I vibe with knows he had an Adam's apple. Okay? A big lump. As a matter of fact, I remember it having a hair sticking, just one nasty hair. It always bothered me, actually. His big ass hair on his Adam's apple, that always bothered me as a child. I know this. I know this, okay? I don't care if I can't prove it. I know this. But this is what his neck looks like now. And I'm talking about the old Shaggy. Not all that weird PC, new Scooby-Doo, weirdo Scooby-Doo crap in this weird alternate Earth that I'm in. Okay? Where nothing is as it should be. Weird ass stuff out there. This is his neck. This is his neck. That's not right. It's freaking... He has this. Okay? Not that. They have taken away his manhood. His Shaggy Adam's apple. They have circumcised Shaggy's neck. What the hell? Who is this? Who is this chick? And what's going on here? What movie is this from, right? Now, I saw this movie when I was very young. I wasn't really into the Bond movies, okay? But this is an iconic scene. I liked the Bond video game, the GoldenEye. That was classic. If they start screwing with video games, man, I'm out. Forget that. But anyways, look, there's a scene where there's this character named Jaws in James Bond or whatever, and Jaws has these big old huge metal teeth. He just chomps through anything, right? And he meets this girl, Dolly, I think her name is. And she has this big moment where like he smiles at her and he's got a big mouthful of metal, and then she smiles back and she's wearing braces, and then they kind of fall in love because it was like a Beauty and the Beast moment. And the thing was, like, she also has a metal mouth. And people are like, it's gone. Her braces are just not there. There's no braces on Dolly anymore. And last but not even close to being the least, okay? This is frustrating. The reason I brought this up, hold on, let me make sure everything's cool in the chat. The reason I brought this up is because I was watching the new Black Mirror episode. And it's called like Bete Noir, which is like Black Betty. It's freaking mind-blowing, man. This girl had this device, this remote control that was hooked up to supercomputers. Okay, I'm gonna spoil it. I know. I don't care. I don't care about spoiling movies. Like, you hear me about to talk about it, you have the option to stop listening or whatever. But anyways, listen. She has this remote control. She just presses a button, and she, according to her, it's not that reality was changing. Like, she's just making physical changes in the reality. What it is she's tuning everyone's consciousnesses into, or aligning them with, the other consciousnesses of their other selves in these alternate Earths that are infinite and go on forever. Remember I said the butterfly effect makes these different Earths, basically? I mean, same Earth, same people, same things. It's just different decisions were made. You know, somebody went left instead of going right, and that led to a whole different outcome 200 years after the fact or whatever. So she uses this remote control, and she tunes in people's consciousnesses or their minds or whatever to a reality where whatever she thought of was the outcome, which is just infinite. You could think of anything, and there's a world where that has happened, okay? And I'm like, damn, that was my theory on the Mandela effect. That's literally my theory on the Mandela effect, is that I'm tuning in, and many of you, that something is happening with the energy in this world, including our very own energy, and it's only happening to a certain groups of people. Just like tinnitus is only happening to a certain group of people, like 10% of the population. The ringing in the ears and all that stuff, right? Which I'm going to talk about next, and that'll be it. But we're able to tune into some sort of local or nearby reality or alternate Earth or other world where other versions of us, at the very least genetically, DNA, right? Which I assume that my spirit vibes with this particular sequence of DNA. Okay, I've got theories upon theories about stuff. But I believe that this spirit prefers or vibes with this particular building blocks of this particular body and this particular DNA, okay? And that there are other DNA bodies out there that my spirit vibes with. I don't know how to explain it. I'm tuning into the other me, or multiple other me's possibly, where the Berenstain is not Berenstain, but it's Berenstein, where this chick had braces, where this guy was in a movie about a genie called Shazam. I don't know. You guys even remember that? Don't believe in the image, okay? This isn't the actual clip from the actual movie. It looks like it. It looks very much like it, actually. But this guy's name is Sinbad, right? I liked Sinbad when I was growing up. You know, he was kind of like the Will Smith before Will Smith came around. He was cool. I super liked Sinbad. And you know, he was in some sweet movies and stuff, but this was one of the ones he was in. Like, he was in the movie Sinbad, where he was a genie. I know this so strongly because when Shaquille O'Neal came out with this garbage movie called Kazam, me and my little brother, and me and some other people, I don't remember who, but I know me and my brother talked about it. When we first heard that Shaq was coming out with this movie called Kazam, we're like, what a ripoff. He's clearly doing a bootleg, lame version of Shazam with Sinbad. And we knew it. And we knew who was in the movie and stuff. Like, it was a kid from, it was him, and it was the kid from Tool Time. I forgot his name. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, is that his name? Anyways, This movie, it existed in some other Earth that I can tune into, that I have memories of. Maybe that other version of me, then I started thinking about death. Like this, I got deep. I couldn't sleep last night. I was pacing around, thinking about life and death and reality and crap, and I loved it. I loved every minute. I didn't even want to go to bed when I finally got tired. I was like, God, I wish I could get together with people and like do something about this, you know? I wanted to call a meeting last night. I wanted to jump on YouTube, but it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, nobody's awake. But anyway, yeah, I was like, dude, what if that other version, what if something happened? The apocalypse or something. That other version of me out there died or appeared to die. But in reality, that focal point, which is what I'm focusing on over there, that was my focal point, was that world. The second that me and all the other you out there that died in some sort of horrible event, we just instantly, through quantum entanglement, whoosh, focused here into these bodies that we vibe with. Or something like that. I don't know, but God dang it. God dang it, man. It deserves way more attention than just people in the media laughing it off, shrugging it off. Yeah, haha, that's weird. It deserves way more than just that's weird. All right? I'm going to keep thinking about it after I'm done live streaming, I promise. Last but not least. Whoo, buddy. Ringing in your ears? About 750 million people have this perplexing condition. 750 million people, and that's just a rough estimate. That's about 10% of the entire Earth. Have a ringing sound in your ears. I do. Both ears, right now. It's happening now. Okay? What's happening now is happening right now. I had it all last night. I hear it. I'm listening to it. I'm not really bothered by it, honestly. I know they're trying to make it in the media like everyone's like, oh, it's terrible. Oh my God, it's the worst. And I feel like they're trying to make you feel that way. But I'm not. I don't know how you guys feel. It's fine. If you're bothered by it, whatever. I'm not. I'm listening to it, actually. I don't like it to get too loud. You know what I mean? But, I didn't even read this article. I just read the title. But it says researchers estimate about 14% of adults experience tinnitus. And it gave it a little name to minimize it. It's not tinnitus. That's just a name. Forget that name. While 2% experience a severe form of it. Hold on, let me see what they say here. Probably something I don't agree with. Tinnitus, commonly described as a ringing in the ears, may affect about 750 million people in the world, according to a new research based on about 50 years of data. All right. The study published this week, blah, 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 suggests tinnitus is perceived as a majority problem by more than 120 million people. Most of them are 65 or older. Okay, well, there might be something to that. I'm definitely not 65. Researchers estimate about 14... Okay, anyways, this is boring. The point is, there's a big fat chunk of the world that can hear something. Okay? A sound. It's a communication. I'm just going to come out and say that, okay? Listen, this is my feeling on the subject, okay? Today I'm speaking a lot from the heart. Today I'm just speaking a lot from my spirit, all right? Something is communicating with a portion of us, is how it feels to me. That's why I'm listening to it. Doesn't mean I'm like doing what it tells me to do or anything weird, because it's not telling me to do anything. It's a signal. Fudge, man. Listen, it's all connected to Mount Meru. Mount Meru at the center of the world, the black rock, Rupus Negra, which is only a black rock after the beam goes down. Remember that. Okay, once that beam shoots up, that from the plasma volcano, that mountain loses all of that rust and stuff, and it becomes a shining metal and a shining mountain and a beacon, or an unfinished pyramid that's white instead of black. What was I going to say? Oh, that's an antenna. Okay, that's literally the antenna of the earth. And those electromagnetic currents run through everything. So we would be mistaken, I would be mistaken, to just ignore that. Strongest influencer in the earth, right? Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today. I don't really want to wrap things up because I'm having a great time and I love talking about this kind of stuff. And if you're one of those people that doesn't care about drama and like, oh, you know what happened when I was at work today? So-and-so said this, and oh yeah, I heard it's going to be cold this weekend. Oh yeah, I better bundle up and blah, blah. Like boring ass conversations like that. If you like talking about aliens, the soul, the spirit, if you ask, what the fudge am I? What am I doing here? Why are people so strange? Look at that tornado. Oh my God, like interesting stuff. Bam, this is the channel for you. Check out my website, JayDreamerZ.com, where I also got more weird, crazy, and interesting topics to consider and to think about and to discuss and stuff like that. I'll be around again pretty soon. So hopefully I'll see you guys again next time. Until then, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.